Well, that didn't take long. Country singer, Nigerian country singer Shabusi has already came out with an apology that in some way makes him worse.
The price of freedom is death. We're coming to get our check.
Welcome, my brothers and my sisters. How are you doing? Okay, happy Black History Month to you guys. I appreciate y'all patience. We're gonna get started. Okay, we already talked about Shabuzi and what he said. I'm gonna give you guys a reminder of what he said. Fair use to everybody who doesn't know. Shabuzi is a Nigerian American country singer, and he won a Grammy for Best Duet Country Song. Him and some other racist Jelly Roll, Jelly Bean, Jelly Guy, Jelly Fat. I don't know what he is, but or where I don't know. But he won an award for it. And in his award, he made it a point to talk about how immigrants built this country. We're going to play this clip right here. This is the clip of him saying that statement. He got drugged for this.
And again, the last thing I want to say, immigrants built this country, literally. Actually, so this is for them, for all children of immigrants. This is also for those who came to this country in search of better opportunity to be a part of a nation that promised freedom for all and equal opportunity to everyone willing to work for it. Thank you for bringing your culture, your music, your stories, and your traditions here. You give America color. I love y'all so much. Thank you.
Boy, he got drugged. I'm going to tell y'all, he got drugged. We already somewhat discussed it, but I'm going to show y'all some of the videos of him being drugged because he got absolutely drugged. What he said was absolutely ahistorical, and that's a narrative that has gone on for years now. The reason why you're seeing such outlash about this is because everybody understands the game. We all know what this is about. We all know what this means if we keep allowing this narrative to go on. By erasing our history, by giving other people stolen valor, what does that do when it comes to our history and our claim? We're going to discuss that tonight. Y'all please make sure y'all hit that like button, please, and thank you. I appreciate y'all so very much. But I'm going to show y'all some of the responses because I'm telling y'all, and I can only play so much because it was just absolutely so many lives, so many YouTube channels and everything. Everybody was saying something about it, but I'm gonna show y'all some of the responses on this guy.
If immigrants built America, why didn't they build up their homelands? Why come to a foreign land and build that up, but not fight to build up the land that you're from? That's the part that I'm really not understanding with a lot of y'all argument. It's not making sense to me. Why travel hundreds of thousands of miles to a foreign place and put all of this work into building something when you could just take that same work ethic and tenacity and build up the fucking land that your ancestors have walked? I'm not understanding that. Can somebody please break it down to me like a 3-year-old? And I don't want to hear, oh, it's not that easy and blah, 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 blah. Because Black Americans absolutely built this country. Was it easy? No. We have whole cities and shit underwater. Whole black ass cities underwater. Whole black ass cities bombed for no other reason than they were black ass cities. Getting chased and bitten and mutilated by dogs. There's literally a recipe book on how to cook and prepare a Black American. Strange fruit hanging from the trees was not just a fun song that was created. So was it easy? No. But did we do it? Absolutely.
I'm a move on because there's more stuff we got to cover. And her thing was like 8 minutes. I just wanted you to get the gist of it. But shout out to her, shout out to that sister for saying that, because that is the case. That let's be honest. We had to suffer. I want us to understand when we do it, a lot of people are like, man, y'all believe in this American exceptionalism, that term, American exceptionalism. Y'all think y'all the best. It's not about that. It's way deeper than that. Okay. It is about honoring sacrifices of people who have paid the ultimate price for us to be here today. Okay. The sacrifices and the suffering and all of what it took for us to be here right now today, for me to even be able to talk to y'all and have the ability to be a citizen, having the First Amendment right and all of that. That was a sacrifice. Okay. Even I want to let people know, even surviving was a sacrifice. I'm not even just talking about the fighting aspect of what we had to do and what we had to endure. The fact that these our ancestors had the resilience it took to survive what was put upon them is something that we should respect as well too. Because a lot of people, given the same situations, a lot of people would have taken themselves out. A lot of people would have. A lot of people, if they would have saw no end, which in many cases, a lot of the slaves lived their whole life from start to finish. Okay, they would be 100 years old, born as a slave and died as a slave. There was no end in sight, no possibility of escaping that. A lot of people would have taken themselves out. So I actually give respect and pay homage to the fact that our people survived that. And then not only that, they fought to persevere and make a tomorrow better that we can benefit from. And this is why it's our responsibility to pick that baton up and carry and finish the race. So when we have people coming over and stepping over all of the sacrifices and all of the hard work and fighting that our ancestors did, the least I can do is put a stop to that, which is what we're doing right here. I can't stomach allowing that to continue. Can't do that, because that undermines a noble and great sacrifice that I just can't allow to happen. All right, I can't allow that to happen. Let me continue, show you some more clips of people responding to shabusi. And there's so many more. There's so many, but I really want to get kind of deep with why this is an issue. But I'm going to show you some more, okay?
Say that ignorant shit like immigrants built this country. I just be questioning, how the fuck do y'all think this country became what it was? To the point where your grandparents or your great-grandparents wanted to come here and contribute to it. Because that's all they did, if anything. They contributed to certain things, but they did not build this country. The country that you are living in today, the United States of America as you know it, the reason why it exists in the state that it is off the exploitation and the blood, sweat, and tears of Black American people. Now, I get why people think they're the reason why the country is running, because when Black people go outside in their own neighborhoods, you got this ethnicity owning this business, this one owning that one. All of our money is going into the next motherfucker pocket so they can take it back to their neighborhood and their country, circulate that motherfucking money, and build their motherfucking economy up. That's why you think that. But really, they placed here as a buffer class to keep your Black ass economically distraught. But that's another conversation I'll touch on for another day. I'm going to just touch on two industries that people like to say, oh, if it wasn't for immigrants, this industry would be dead. Y'all like to say that about the agricultural industry, and y'all like to say that about blue-collar jobs. Now, my theory about the whole blue-collar industry is, whenever they passed that Immigration Act in the 60s, that is also the same time that they started taking trade programs at a high school. Now, our grandparents and great-grandparents used to take these trade courses and use those skill sets to go and have a career and start their own businesses after high school. They weren't worried about going to no fucking college. And they were able to take care of their whole fucking family. Like Julius off Everybody Hates Chris on that one episode, when Julius went outside to go to work and all the men on the block had on their fucking blue-collar work gear. Yes, that is an industry that by and large we took over, but as they slowly start taking these trades out of the school, I feel like that's when they start paying these immigrants under the table to do the same work that we've been doing. We are the original carpenters. We are the original welders. Any blue-collar trade that you can name, we are the fucking originators. And it's the same thing for agriculture.
Okay, I'm shout out to her for that. Shout out to, I mean, I'm telling you, the family been on point. And one thing I like about it is that there's so much education. That's really my favorite part about it. The intellectual thought pieces about what's going on. It just shows you how informed we are, not just about the subject matter and where we are today, but just shows you how informed we are about our history. I just love it. I honestly just love it. I love to see it. Okay. It just shows me that our lineage is growing. The people, the young people, these are not elders, and shout out to the elders, but these are young people with a plethora of knowledge of our history and our ancestors and of our political position as far as immigration today. One of the things that she said is something that we've been saying here for a long, long time. The narrative that without immigrants, we wouldn't have the agricultural liberties that we have, or we wouldn't have blue collar jobs. No, because that's stripping away from people who are our people who've been doing that. Okay. You're replacing people who've been doing those jobs for cheap labor, and then saying without them the job wouldn't be done, even though they just got here 10 years ago. So you mean to tell me there were no oranges 20 years ago? You mean to tell me before they came here 10 years ago and started getting oranges, we didn't have oranges in this country? We didn't have strawberries. We didn't have eggs. We didn't have all of these fruits and vegetables and produce and stuff like that. We didn't have these things until y'all had illegal immigrants coming here 10 years ago, 20 years ago. When have we not had these things? When have these jobs not been done? Whether they're blue collar jobs with factories and all of that stuff, when have these jobs not been done? What jobs are they adding that, okay, now we finally have the labor to do this thing? That has never happened. We've had skyscrapers here before, whole towns and neighborhoods and trains and all of that stuff years before they touched the soil. And now they're coming here, and not only are you trying to take away from our ancestors by saying that they can't do it, we can't do it, only they can do it, you're also giving them stolen valor, and you're propping them up and putting them on a pedestal and making them out to be more important in American culture and an American country than they really are. Okay, so it's two wrongs in that statement. It really is. And this is why we shut it down. And the thing is that we're going to have to be honest. That's what the Democratic Party has been doing. Okay. Well, we need them because, man, you got to eat, right? You got to eat. No, we've been eating. Okay. If our families were able to feed their whole children, I'm talking about back in the days when we had a plethora of kids. Okay. I'm talking about when we had a whole bunch, a whole farm of big families and things like that. If our families were able to do that during sharecropping, during Jim Crow, during the Reconstruction era, if our families were able to do that then without a bunch of Mexicans coming over here and working in the farmland, we're going to be okay. If we can survive a Great Depression, if we can survive slavery, Jim Crow, redlining, bombings of Tulsa, Oklahomas, and other Black Wall Streets, if we can survive all of these things, we'll be fine. I promise you we'll be okay. I've yet to hear of a foundation Black American starving in the middle of the street because of all this deportation that's going on in the last year. I've yet to hear that. Okay. So that narrative is shut down, and we got to stop that narrative, because not only is that narrative not true, it makes them out to be more important, not only than they are, but more important than us. When they say that, they're trying to say that they're more important to America flowing than we are, because these will be the same people who tell us that we don't do anything and we don't contribute anything to America. Okay, we're always an afterthought, and we're giving them credit that we deserve. We got to shut that down. We can't allow that any longer. Now, let me show you something else. I'm trying to get to let y'all know the energy that Shabusi has just invoked is insane.
Let's give out awards at the Grammys this year. They rolled out a coordinated message, because this wasn't one artist going off script. This wasn't spontaneous conscience. This was planned, aligned, and reinforced across pins, speeches, applause, and headlines. Bad Bunny didn't just wear an Ice Out pin. He said it on the mic, clear, unambiguous, timed for applause. Billie Eilish followed with "No one is illegal on stolen land," and the room stood up on cue. Kalani escalated it with urgency. We have to speak up. We have to say something. We have to come together. Olivia Dean, a British artist of Jamaican and Guyanese heritage, framed immigration as bravery, as moral inheritance, saying we're nothing without each other. And online, you had figures like Lefty Gunplay pushing Black and brown unity, not as a conversation, but as a directive. Unity as obligation. Unity without terms. Now zoom out. Because this wasn't just happening on stage, it was coordinated. Activists openly said the Ice Out pins were organized, teams were contacted, celebrities were briefed. The symbolism was intentional. That matters. Because when coordination meets cultural authority, you're not watching art anymore. You're watching narrative production. And during the opening of Black History Month, the dominant narrative wasn't Black Americans as a people with specific political claims. It was Black visibility being used to legitimate someone else's agenda. Now let's get specific. Shabusi, a Nigerian American artist, got on that stage and said, immigrants built this country, not contributed, not participated, built. And when Black Americans push back, because enslaved labor is not metaphor, because Jim Crow labor is not optional, because this country's wealth extraction has a documented lineage, there was no real correction, no explicit naming of foundational Black Americans. Just a soft clarification later, still hiding behind the vague phrase Black Americans.
All right. Shout out to her. Shout out to that sister about it. So he came out with, first off, let me give a round of applause, honestly. Let me give a round of applause to everybody who made videos, everybody who said something. Round of applause to them sisters. Shout out to them. Okay. Applause at the Grammys for BS. We can give some round of applause here in the chat room. Can everybody in the chat room put the clap emoji or the round of applause emoji? I don't know what you call it. The clap emoji, hand clap emoji. Can we put that in the chat room for them standing on business? Because we want to show them that we appreciate correct narratives, all right, and them correcting that. And I love the fact that it's not just Shabusi was wrong, but you're really kind of going deeper into what was wrong about it, all right? So shout out to them. Now, Shabusi has came out with all of the backlash, came out with an apology. An apology, y'all. This is his apology that we're going to get into. Okay, he says, first and foremost, I want to express my deep gratitude to everyone who has supported and celebrated my journey as an artist. I also want to acknowledge the conversation surrounding my acceptance speech. To be clear, I know and believe that we, Black people, have also built this country. Okay, y'all saying the we? Okay, which he's including himself, and then he's not even saying that we built it. He's saying we also built it. So he's still not really taking his statement that immigrants built the country back. I want you to know that in his apology video, he's finding, or not video, in statement, he's finding a way to double down on what he's saying. Okay. He says, my words were never intended to dismiss that truth. I am both a Black man and a son of Nigerian immigrants, and it is over. Hold on, sorry. And in the overwhelming moment of first off, let me just read that. In the overwhelming moment of winning my first Grammy, my focus was on honoring the sacrifices my parents made by coming to this country to give me and my siblings opportunities they never had. Well, here's the thing. Let me just get this off the screen, right? Get this off the screen. His overwhelming thing. First off, that thing, he had a piece of paper in his hand. Now, when you win a Grammy and all of this stuff, and on all of these award shows, they're not supposed to know they're the winner. Okay? That's the way it's supposed to work. None of them are supposed to know. They might know they're nominated, but none of them know officially they're the winner. But he had a speech already ready for him, and he was reading off the speech. Okay. Everybody there was on the same type of page. So it's like, oh, in the overwhelming support, it just slipped out. No, it didn't slip out. Clearly, in your apology video, you're doubling down by not removing that statement. He's not redacting that statement. He's just adding on to it. Okay. And then he said he wanted to thank his parents for immigrating here and giving him the opportunity that he never got. That was his first instinct. That's very interesting. His first instinct is to do that and to step over. Now, what's interesting is that in his acceptance speech, he didn't thank his parents. He didn't. He said, I just want to thank my parents for their sacrifice and all that stuff. We heard your speech. You didn't mention your mommy and daddy. You mentioned immigrants. You mentioned this country was built by immigrants. Where do your parents fit in that? So it wasn't no, I just wanted to shout out my mom. You didn't shout out your mama. You didn't shout out your daddy. You shouted out immigrants as a whole. And you said that they built the country. Okay? That's what you did. And then you don't even want to take that back. Your parents should be thanking us, as our lineage has put forth the effort and made the accessibility for your parents to come and immigrate here in the first place, your mom and dad, and all of your siblings. So y'all owe appreciation to us. That is who is owed first and foremost. Your parents wouldn't have been able to give you a damn thing, and you wouldn't have been able to touch the music genre of country if we didn't invent that music genre. We're the ones who invented that music genre. Let me tell y'all a little something about country before we finish the speech, right? The apology. We used to play the banjo, all right? And back in that time, we had few access to musical instruments, and we were really talented and good at playing the banjo, and we made a lot of good songs with it. It was a point in time when they were doing blackface and minstrel shows, when white supremacists would dress up as black people, they would play the banjo to mock black people. They would start playing the banjo to mock black people in their minstrel shows, until people was all like, actually, the banjo it does sound kind of good. So then they went to foundational Black Americans to learn more about the banjo. They get this. So when people talk about the Carter family being the family of country, it wasn't. It was foundational Black Americans, and they were learning how to play the banjo and how to make country music and all of that stuff after we had already established that. White supremacists were making fun of that music genre until, like all music genres, they said, hey, actually, that sounds kind of good. And then they wanted to do it, but we were doing it well before them. So people try to give credit to the Carter family. They don't deserve credit. We were doing that when it was mocked, the same way we started rapping, and that was mocked. The same way we started every single music genre, and every time we start a music genre, to them, it's always garbage. To them, it's always degenerate. To them, it's always something to be made fun of, until they realize how good it is. Then they want to come and colonize it, like they've done with rock and roll. When we started doing rock and roll, they didn't want to touch it. Now they want to touch it. Now they own it. With country music. When we started country music, they didn't want to touch it. They made fun of it. Now they loved it. Now they want to own it. Okay. The same with hip hop. When we started rapping, it was degenerate. They didn't want to touch it. Now everybody wants to own it. And now we got to shut that down. We got to stop that. Okay? We have to stop that. Let me get back to, and this is every single thing that we do. Every single thing we do, they do that. Everything. Let me get back to it though. All right? We were at here. At the same time, winning this award on the first day of Black History Month and becoming the first Black man to win Best Country Duo is Black history. Okay, so he's putting himself in Black history. It stands on the foundation laid by generations of Black people who fought, sacrificed, and succeeded long before me. This moment belongs to all of us. Do you see that? He continues to say, my entire career has been rooted in uplifting people. Really? Really? Your entire career has been rooted in uplifting? Where has that happened? When have you? Okay, all right. His entire career, let him tell it. All right. Honoring where we came from and expanding what's possible. I am proud to be a part of this legacy, and I intend to continue doing that work for the rest of my life. Okay. He's doubling down. He's doubling down. And this is why he's getting so much pushback. Nobody's buying that stupid apology. Nobody is buying that. Nobody's accepting that. Okay. He's shown his hand. He's completely shown his hand. And to him, it's so important that they mix in with everything. And this is why we got to stop this. Okay. Because we have a claim, a lineage claim here. Foundational Black Americans, and people have an issue with that. People don't like that. Why? People ask why. Why is it so important? Some people have made it seem like we're overreacting and we're exaggerating and we don't really know what we're talking about. Let me show y'all. There's people going out trying to make somewhat of a defense video, trying to make it seem like we're taking stuff out of context. Hold on. Now, this person, so you know, is also a Nigerian.
Shabusi's Grammy acceptance speech shows that we're living in a low-trust society. Unfortunately, people are assuming erasure or negative intent because he chose to highlight and uplift immigrants. He himself is an immigrant himself. When you live in a low-trust society, people assume negative intent. They assume that you're trying to not give them where credit is due or giving yourself more credit than is due. And that's what we're seeing with Shabusi in the Grammy acceptance speech, is that people see Shabusi and others like him, especially in America, as an outgroup. And the outgroup for many Americans are immigrants. And immigrants in a lot of different ways are under attack from a lot of different forces, from a lot of different ways. So I do believe that we're going to continue seeing people assume negative intent and erasure from people they deem part of an outgroup and not part of their in-group. And that's going to unfortunately negatively impact many immigrants.
Oh, no. Oh, okay. Now, notice the words he's using, assume. And we have this assume, and people have a low trust society. So he's making it seem like we're being paranoid and we're making assumptions and we think everybody's out to erase our history and we're making claims of that. No, that's what he did. It's not our perception of what he did. That is what he did. If he's saying somebody built something that didn't build it, it takes away from the credit of the actual builders of that thing. Okay. If I had a sandwich, I'm gonna make it super simple so everybody can understand. If I had a sandwich, I made this sandwich. If somebody claims that somebody else made the sandwich, then by definition, that means I didn't make the sandwich, because they're claiming somebody else did and they're giving them that credit. Okay, that's super simple. Y'all understand what sandwiches now? I'm talking to the tether class. Can y'all comprehend if I use sandwiches? Okay. That's exactly what they're doing here. When they talk about they built the country, immigrants built the country, that by definition removes us out the picture. Even if you want to say also, you're giving them more credit than what is deserved, because there was no also. They came here after the country was built. You can't come here, as the sisters were saying, you can't come here for the land of milk and honey, the land of opportunities. There were no opportunities before America was built. Y'all came here because there were opportunities, because there was a flowing and growing economy here, because there were rights and privileges and opportunities here that were developed not by you. You came here after that was built. If I make a plate of food and you add seasoning, we didn't cook it together. No, that's not what that is. I laid the table, I chopped the meat up, I chopped the vegetables, I stirred it up and I cooked it. And then you add some salt and pepper and say we cooked this together. No, we did not. Your little salt and pepper does not classify as cooking. And then not only that, you're going to say that we didn't cook the food. You really cooked the food. And I helped you cook the food. That's how far they take that. We got to shut that down. No, we're not overreacting. And this is not happening in a vacuum. Okay. This is a narrative that we've been hearing for the longest time. This is why when we hear it, we already know the play. We didn't misread anything. We know the play. This is something that we consistently hear, not only from artists. We hear this from political leaders and all of that as well, too. Remember this?
New York will remain a city of immigrants, a city built by immigrants, powered by immigrants, and as of tonight, led by an immigrant.
You see that? So no, nobody's sitting up there making it seem. Nobody's saying, nobody's making it seem like no, we're exaggerating. We're doing something that no, because there's a bunch of stolen valor there. Okay. It was a lot of them giving credit where credit is not due. Okay. They don't deserve that. And we see the agenda of that, and it strips away our ancestry. Okay. And then they'll make it seem as if we're all immigrants. We're all in this together. Why they do that? And let me show you one more thing, just so you can understand, just so we can have a firm understanding that immigrants, that the whole narrative that immigrants built this country. Okay. And we're a nation of immigrants. Immigrants built this country. Immigrants built this. I want us to understand this is not the first time we're hearing that. This is something that we consistently keeps hearing over and over and over again, that this is a nation of immigrants, a country of immigrants.
Immigration's always been an issue that inflames passions. That's not surprising. You know, there are few things that are more important to us as a society than who gets to come here and call our country home. Who gets the privilege of becoming a citizen of the United States of America? That's a big deal. When we talk about that in the abstract, it's easy sometimes for the discussion to take on a feeling of us versus them. And when that happens, a lot of folks forget that most of us used to be them. We forget that. I mean, it's really important for us to remember our history. You know, unless you're one of the first Americans, a Native American, you came from someplace else. Somebody brought you. The Irish, who left behind a land of famine. The Germans, who fled persecution. The Scandinavians, who arrived eager to pioneer out west. The Polish, the Russians, the Italians, the Chinese, the Japanese, the West Indians, the huddled masses who came through Ellis Island on one coast and Angel Island on the other. You know, all those folks, before they were us, they were them. And when each new wave of immigrants arrived, they faced resistance from those who were already here. They faced hardship. They faced racism. They faced ridicule. But over time, as they went about their daily lives, as they earned a living, as they raised a family, as they built a community, as their kids went to school here, they did their part to build a nation. They were the Einsteins and the Carnegies, but they were also the millions of women and men whose names history may not remember, but whose actions helped make us who we are, who built this country, hand by hand, brick by brick.
Notice he said who built this country.
They all came here knowing that what makes somebody an American is not just blood or birth, but allegiance to our founding principles and the faith in the idea that anyone from anywhere can write the next great chapter of our story. And that's still true today.
Okay. Y'all see that? Okay. All of that stuff, and they built it. And why they do that, it's a very deceptive, it's a very, very unscrupulous reason as to why this is going on, why they do this. What is the point of all of this? The point of all of this is because when you compare people to immigrants, when you compare our lineage to immigrants, that helps and aids white supremacy. Let me explain. Let me break this down on Black History Month. Y'all, please make sure y'all hit that like button. We in here. Listen, one of the key aspects, really the most important aspect, not just one of the key, but really the most important aspect as to how people treat you is how you perceive yourself. Okay. Shout out to Dr. John Henry Clark. Okay. Took that from him. Okay. I paraphrased it. How you perceive yourself is going to determine what you allow people to do, what you allow people to say. Okay. How you allow people to treat you. All of that is predetermined by how you perceive yourself, what you think of yourself. That is a very important psychological weapon that the system of white supremacy has used for centuries to control and dominate other groups of people. When you have this feeling that you don't belong here, when you have this feeling that you're this lost people that don't know where they're from, when you have this feeling that you're this abandoned, nationless people, that will psychologically change what you do, what solutions that you think about, okay? How you perceive yourself is going to determine how you perceive the situation that you're in. One of the weapons that they use is confusion. If you don't know where you're really from, you don't know where your family really is from, you don't know anything about yourself, then it's easy for somebody to manipulate you. And even if you know it's manipulation, you wouldn't even really know how to fight it. You wouldn't know how to fight it. You're not going to stand on a land that you don't believe is your land. If you don't believe you're supposed to be here, how are you going to stand up and fight for any rights for it? You don't belong here. You don't belong here any more than anybody else. It also, number two, it also allows the system of white supremacy to easily place people in buffer class positions. Okay, that's number two, because with things like affirmative action, DEI, all of that stuff, they're able to say, hey, well, technically, they're all people of color, and you have no more claim, because you don't know yourself, you have no more claim to this country, to this land, than he does. Even though he got here 2 days ago, and you've been here your entire life, and so is your family, still, so what? You have no more claim to this land than anybody else does. All right. And that allows them to easily put people in buffer class positions over you, which is them being the vanguard of our success. Okay. And our progress and prosperity. And this has been a narrative, and people act as if this is something xenophobic, that we're starting to wake up and have this awakening of who we are as a unique ethnic group. People are trying to gaslight and make it seem like we're delusional, or to make it seem like we have an identity crisis, or to make it seem like it's even done out of hate of anybody, which is not. All right. But this is the narrative. There has been a concerted effort in trying to get us to, with the term, even with the term African American, to try to get us to disassociate ourselves with the country that our ancestors had to sacrifice and die for. There was blood, sweat, and tears that our ancestors had to go through. I'm talking about from the ages of birth, y'all, from birth. The second they were able to walk, they were out in the field picking cotton. I don't even want to show y'all some of the images. You got images of little toddlers with a bag and some cotton in their hands. All right, toddlers. Barely speaking and picking cotton, teething and picking cotton. All right. You have all of that sacrifice, all of that stuff you have there. And you have people trying to dismiss that and try to strip us away and make it seem as if you don't really have no place here. You don't really know where you belong. I do. And with that psychological manipulation, that prevents us from being able to succeed and go anywhere. Right. And they have been pushing that and pushing that for generations. Y'all remember this clip? I know y'all do. Let me remember this.
But at the end of the day, I represent Ghana more because I know my culture from Ghana. For an example, my mom, she's American. I don't know what part of Africa she was from. My dad, he's Ghanaian.
She's American, like.
But at the end of the day,
I don't know. They're American.
But
you wouldn't say that to a Jamaican.
But they're African American, though.
Would you say a Jamaican don't know what part of Africa he's from?
Jamaicans are Caribbean, so they already have their own. Like,
would you say he don't know what part of Africa he's from?
But he know where he comes from. He comes from Jamaica.
Just like a black person know they come from.
Now, let me pause this, right? for people be all like, FBAs, y'all hate Africa. FBA don't want to be Africa. FBA don't want to be Africa. Okay. Well, if it's about this love of Africa that they keep trying to manipulate everybody and make it seem like, okay, they'll use the words pretending, y'all hate Africa. Y'all want to be anything but African. No, y'all have this thing of y'all want us to identify ourselves with Africa because y'all know there is no nation that we can claim in Africa. There's no nation we can claim. Even if you do your DNA test and you find some bloodline that theoretically, because that's all the DNA test actually does, theoretically might tie you to a current nation. Now, you know that's not your family's, you don't have any claim, even if you do have some blood lineage that goes to that land. There's no nation. For us to claim to be African people, we would be claiming to be nationless people. That's what we would be doing, and putting ourselves in our mental in a nationless state. And they deliberately do that exclusively to us because they don't do that to the Caribbean. Now, we understand that there was a slave trade and they bought ships and they bought enslaved Africans to the Caribbean primarily, to South America primarily. But when people say I'm a Jamaican, there's no follow-up question. When people say I'm a Haitian, when people say I'm from the Caribbean, there is no follow-up. It's, oh, okay, you're Jamaican. You know where you're from. You're from Jamaica. You're from Haiti. There's no follow-up. Why? Because they don't want to put the Caribbean in this psychological shackle that they have us in. They don't benefit from a Haitian not knowing where they're from a Jamaican, from a Ghanaian, from a Nigerian, well, Nigerians in Africa, from a Trinidadian, from all of, they don't benefit from Caribbeans not knowing where they're from or not claiming where they're from or gatekeeping where they're from, delineating where they're from. They don't benefit from that. Okay. They don't care. It doesn't matter to them. It matters when we do it because they're coming over here and they're benefiting from us under the guise of we're all the same. We're all African American. We all have African descent. Okay. The only difference is where the boats dropped us off. That's the really only difference. They don't say that to the Caribbean because they're not trying to manipulate people from the Caribbean. They don't care to do that. But there's this effort from the dominant society that's been ingrained in everybody's mind to manipulate us, to get us to have this amnesia of being this nationless people. Okay, these vague, ambiguous Africans who don't know where they're from, these Akatas, as they would call us. All right, and they're forcing the issue. Let's continue with some more of the clip.
I guess maybe okay, but I guess maybe they can. But I guess maybe.
Wait, one second.
I guess it's easier to pinpoint.
A Jamaica is from Jamaica, right?
Yes.
An American is from where?
An African American is from Africa and America, but they don't know what part.
And this is why that term is confusing. Is which I hear people just say Black Americans now because we try to do the right thing and at least acknowledge our ancestry. Unlike you don't see a Haitian saying I'm African Haitian or a Jamaican saying I'm African. We try to do the right thing and acknowledge our ancestry, and now it's being used. Well, what part? Like no, just for that we just Black Americans now. Like fuck. All that African American shit, bro. We Black Americans now, bro. Because if y'all don't question the Caribbeans, then y'all shouldn't question the Americans.
Caribbeans know where they come from. African Americans don't know.
They do not. They do not.
I swear to God, man.
But at the end of the day, I represent Ghana.
They have to be some of the hardest headed, goofy bras. I honestly, the fact that those brothers kept explaining it over and over and over, there was no simpler way to explain that, and they just. But Caribbeans know where they come from because it's the Caribbean. But somehow there's this leap in logic. There's this double standard when it comes to America. It's always you're American, but what are you really though? You're some African. You just don't know it. You're some African thing, but you just really don't know it. No, he's not no African anything. He's Haitian actually. So just leave him alone. You are not American. You are African somewhere. You don't know where you're from. You're the only one in the world who doesn't know where they're from. Nobody else in the world does that. They don't try to manipulate the Caribbean, but they do to us. And because we're not allowing that to happen, they say it's a hate group or xenophobic or a cult or whatever they say. They say it's that. All right. Let me show you. This is not no one-time thing. This is a narrative that they talk about behind closed doors. This is something that they discuss that we're now starting to realize and recognize because of social media.
When people say where you from?
America.
What do you say when people say where you from?
America.
No, where's your country?
My country is America. I was born in New York, raised in...
Where your parents from?
My parents are from New York.
Americans, they don't know where they're from, you know.
Americans don't know where they're from.
It's a mystery.
How is it a mystery?
Because you must be Caribbean or African or...
What do you mean,
something.
Caribbean? Isn't Caribbean a part of America as well?
There's some in there.
Jamaica?
It's not really America, but it's near. It's near, but it's not.
What continent is the Caribbean in? Jamaica? What continent is that?
Why are you running?
LOL!
Huh? You're trying to draw me out.
No, I'm asking you a question. I'm asking you a simple question. Where you from? You're from Congo?
And Jamaica.
And Jamaica. What continent is Jamaica in?
If you don't answer that, I'm leaving you.
I just want to know what continent Jamaica's in.
I didn't pass geography.
Oh my gosh!
Y'all see that? Shout out to Adonis. Now, these will be the people. He asks what continent Jamaica is in, and she couldn't answer that, and she's Jamaican. Yet she's going to tell us we don't know where we're from. These people don't know where they're from. I'm going to be honest with you. Most foundational Black Americans, okay, especially with this whole movement going on, y'all can laugh. It's funny. Y'all can laugh. Most foundational Black Americans, we know more about our family tree than most other people do. I'm gonna be honest. That might seem like, no, why y'all saying that? That's the American exceptionalism. No, we have had family reunions. That is a unique part of our culture, okay, that we had to develop because of slavery. Okay, and because of our family being shipped around. So we have always had the culture of keeping up with our family members, all right? Other people don't have that culture because it wasn't a necessity for them. So therefore, we have developed a skill of being able to trace our family line and our family tree, unlike everybody else, because they didn't have to. They didn't. A lot of people, especially on paper, they can't trace their family back to 5 generations ago. Oh, a lot of people can't do that from these other countries. A lot of people, if you was to say, trace your ancestry back from not 100 years ago, not 200, 300 years ago, chase it back 5 generations back in the past, they would get stuck. They would get stuck. They don't know where their people were 5 generations ago, let alone centuries and centuries ago. But they want to come up here and gaslight and tell us, man, y'all really don't know where y'all from. And she's speaking in a British accent. She's not clearly where her family is from, but she's speaking in a British accent, talking to Adonis, telling him he doesn't know where he's from. We don't know where we're from. America don't count, but you're from Jamaica, which would mean you are also a part of the slave trade. But Jamaica is fine. Like I'm saying, they don't put this effort into manipulating the Caribbean people and saying that y'all don't know where y'all from. They don't put that same effort in there. All right. The reason why they don't do that is because the dominant society wants us all to be seen as this vague, ambiguous thing that you can't really tell who is who, which is why they hate delineating so much. They hate that so much because it's very easy for you to dismiss somebody's reparations claim, to dismiss somebody's tangibles, to dismiss somebody's grievance that they've suffered in this country if you put them in the same boat as somebody who just got to the country. You understand? Let me show you a clip for better context. All right. Do you guys remember this? When AOC, when they were talking about reparations, and they like to pull this game of, well, you know, I don't even know who's Black. What does that mean? All of that. Remember that?
What is a political cost, let's say, of saying we're going to throw your hat in with a program like reparations? How much do you think those considerations should be made?
Well, you know, it's a good question. I think that one of the things that we've seen from early polling actually is that I think that we should distance ourselves and start getting away from this idea that that we should only care about ourselves. Because when we really do start to assert and believe and understand and see how our destinies are tied, we kind of get away from this idea that only, people of color care about other people of color and only white people care about other white people and so on. There are a lot of systems that we have to dismantle, but also it does get into this interesting area of where we are as a country about identity, because what does it mean to be Black? Who is Black and who isn't, especially as our country becomes more biracial and multiracial. Same thing with being Latino. Same thing. It brings up all these questions of passing and things like that. But I do think it is.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if y'all lost a couple of brain cells. I should have braced y'all a little bit for that. I really should have braced y'all for that. I apologize. Y'all might have been some of y'all might be sitting up there passed out right now. I apologize for that. Wake up, please. It's over with. Some of y'all turn the camera off like Afro. Please. Look, I had to. Okay, I had to. I should have gave y'all a warning. But notice what she said about who is Black? I mean, are you Latino? Are you this? Are you that? And there's interracial, biracial, transracial, all of these things of who is who? Where do we go from here? That confusion is what allows the white supremacists to get away with not paying reparations. And they've been using that for generations. Well, we don't really even know not only who would get it, who is Black? I mean, am I Black? Are you Black? We don't know. Is everybody Black? They do that, right? And they create this confusion, which is why they hate delineating, because delineating makes things clear, okay? It draws a line, a very clear line in the sand, and everything is clear. You were either here as the foundation was built, you are a part of the foundation of this country, you are a foundational Black American, or on the other side of the line, you're not. Okay? There's no kind of if and or maybe so, but there's dates, there's timelines, there's census records, and all of that stuff. You are either a foundational Black American or you are not. That it is what it is. You can either trace your family back this far or you can't. That is period. That is what it is. There's really no exception to that. And they hate that clarity, okay? Because that confusion has allowed them to get away with dragging out any type of repaying and making better of the ills that they have done to our people, okay? Like, for instance, this. Remember this?
But I will. A couple things is, all right, how many people in the United States today are actually descendants of slave owners? Forget descendants of slaves. Let's hold that to the side. Descendants of slave owners. You've had massive immigration into the United States over the last 150 years. So now you're going to say that people who immigrated to the United States, who are not descendants of slave owners, were not descendants of that trade, now they're going to be responsible for paying that out going forward. My mother's Jamaican. My father's Panamanian. You have a lot of Black people in this country who are not descendants of the American slave trade. So I already know off top, there's a lot of Black people in America who aren't going to be able to get that kind of benefit or get reparations.
Well, most people who are for reparations, they feel like it should go to what they call foundational Black Americans anyway.
And I agree with that point. But I'm just saying, I'm just laying out, these are the reasons for why I'm no.
You see that? Okay. Do you see that? They like that because they know, okay, when things are clear, stuff gets done. Jobs get done. Okay, so everybody who opposes our lineage, this is the manipulation for that. All right, it's a bigger picture to all of the immigrants built this country. They want it to be that way because they want us to say, well, everybody together, we're all really immigrants. Remember Obama's speech? Everybody is really an immigrant here. We're all this big nation of immigrants, because then you can't distinguish, okay, well, who gets reparations and who doesn't if we're all immigrants at this point. All right. It makes it, first off, it strips us away from the credibility of our ancestors and their sacrifice. It diminishes their sacrifice. And it also muddies the water as far as moving forward as a lineage. this is another reason why a lot of them have cosplayed, so they can get up and they can talk against our lineage, which is another reason why they don't like delineating, because when they keep us in this mind frame, this manipulated, brainwashed, confused mind frame that we're some lost people of African descent, we are of African descent, and we're just these lost people who have no nation and no home. They're able to come in, and they're able to come in and be African American at their convenience, and then be Kenyan at their convenience. Okay, like this clip right here. We got receipts today, y'all.
For him, I think one of the blessings of being an African American, I'm not saying it's unique to us, but I do think it's true for black folks who've been successful, is you got somebody in your family.
Y'all see that? I think that one of the benefits of being an African American, and I'm not saying it's unique to us. This is Obama, whose parents, none of his parents has nothing to do with quote unquote African Americans, but he is referring to himself as an African American. Let me play that back.
The blessings of being an African American, I'm not saying it's unique to us, but I do think it's true for black folks who've been successful, is you got somebody in your family who's not.
Yeah.
You see that? And this is the cosplaying and all of that. All right. You have more people doing that.
I'm out here because I'm first generation African American. My parents are from Ghana. It took my mom over 30 years to get her visa. Okay. It's not that easy. And I will be damned if anybody thinks that like I'm not her American dream. So we're here, we're representing, we stand with LA, we stand with Mexico. We're all just one people, and yeah, we need to be out here showing our support. And I live downtown too, and what's happening down here, like if this is where it's gonna start, then this is where it's gonna start.
Okay, do you see that? I'm a first generation African American, and I stand against ICE. I stand against all of this stuff, and I stand with the Latino community. This is why we ran into a lot of problems, and why they don't like delineating, because they've been able to do a whole bunch of nonsense because we've allowed that to happen. Because we've said, okay, well, you know what, it's kumbaya. I'm your brother. I'm your, I'm your brother, you my sister. We all brothers and sisters from the motherland, and we all black and all that good stuff. And y'all can come ahead and y'all can do what y'all want to do. We said what Mikasa Sukasa, or whatever the term is. Mikasa Sukasa, Sukasa Mikasa, something Casa. You know what I'm saying? What's mine is yours. We said that, and they've taken that and they've created a bunch of problems. This is why you had, what's his name, Mexican fat man, what's his name, fat Mexican, fat OT, Mexican OT, sorry about that. He was all like, I can say the N-word, because there were tethers around him giving him the N-word pass. We got pictures, there's videos of Kai Cenat, who's also a tether, giving folks the N-word pass. They will come over here because they have no type of respect at all, and they will give people the N-word pass. Okay? They will come over here, and then they will get on the platform, and they will say, hey, I'm standing against ICE as an African American. I'm standing against this. I'm standing against this. They will get here and speak as if they represent our lineage under the guise of being an African American. And they will use words like we, like Obama did, we, our, like shabusi did, our people, we, and all of this stuff. They will include themselves and mix themselves in, because that allows them to then have some type of claim on speaking on a lineage. Which is why they don't like terms like foundational Black American, because they understand with the term foundational, that blocks them away from doing that. That prevents them from doing that. That's that stop, and they can't move past that. Okay? So everybody has to claim their own lineage. You'll have people like this woman who are out here claiming to be an African American, and knowing what people, because she could have just said Ghanaian. She's a Ghanaian American, but she didn't say that. She said African American, knowing that term is already spoken for. So knowing that people are going to make the assumption that you are from a specific lineage, because that term is referred to a lineage. People refer to a lineage as that term. And then she's going to come up and talk about immigration. All right. This is one of the reasons why we have to make sure that we're distinguishing ourselves and delineating to prevent further issues. This is why we've gotten so far ahead in such a short amount of time. Hold on. Let me see. Hold on. I don't remember how to pronounce his name. Do you guys remember the clip of there was like a reparations task force some years ago? And you had somebody, he was named Coleman Hughes. He got on the reparations task force and he was doing a whole we and our ancestors wouldn't want us to do this and that, and our ancestors this and our ancestors that. Let me find out. Let me find the clip of him saying that. Let me see, because the clip of he's been saying that for quite a minute, y'all. Here it is. Here it is.
Honor to testify.
I keep the receipts. I'm telling y'all, I keep the receipts. I keep the receipts on deck.
As important as this one. It's an honor to testify on a topic as important as this one. Nothing I'm about to say is meant to minimize the horror and brutality of slavery and Jim Crow. Racism is a bloody stain on this country's history, and I consider our failure to pay reparations directly to freed slaves after the Civil War to be one of the greatest injustices ever perpetrated by the U.S. government. But I worry that our desire to fix the past compromises our ability to fix the present. Think about what we're doing today. We're spending our time debating a bill that mentions slavery 25 times, but incarceration only once, in an era with no black slaves, but nearly 1 million black prisoners. A bill that doesn't mention homicide once, at a time when the Center for Disease Control reports homicide as the #1 cause of death for young black men. I'm not saying that acknowledging history doesn't matter. It does. I'm saying there's a difference between acknowledging history and allowing history to distract us from the problems we face today.
Y'all see that? Allow us to just allow history, our history he has no qualification to speak on, to distract us from what we're doing today. That's what he's saying. And this is what happens when you have the actual foundational black Americans confused about who they are. Because we called out Coleman Hughes as we call out other tethers, because we are like, hey, dude, hold on, wait a second. You don't even qualify for this. You don't qualify for reparations. So what are you doing on any type of hearing or task force or anything speaking on that? What are you doing in this room at all? You shouldn't even be in this room, period. What are you doing here at all? See, now that we're on that type of time, people are calling it xenophobic. Now that we're on that type of time, people are having an issue, because that shuts down Coleman Hughes. That shuts down a whole lot of the tethers, the Candace Owens, the Myron Gaines. That shuts all of that stuff down. Oh, you're a tether, so therefore you don't have the authority to speak on this subject, because it's not about you. You don't have the authority to weigh your opinion in. No, you. This is family business. This is an issue that has nothing to do with your lineage whatsoever. So you stay out of here. And they don't like that, because, as I said earlier, the system of white supremacy has used buffer classes as a vanguard of our success, to prevent our success, as a barrier of our success. So the ability for them to be a barrier depends, and it's contingent upon their ability to cosplay. That's very important. And without their ability to cosplay, their ability to sabotage is over with. They don't have the ability to sabotage. They were only able to sabotage when they were able to cosplay. And they were really only able to cosplay because keeping our lineage at the forefront of our minds and making sure we delineate and gatekeep and have barriers up was not at the forefront of our minds. So because we had the mistake of trusting everybody. We made the mistake of trusting everybody. They were able to cosplay, put themselves in situations where they had no business in, mix themselves up where they had no business in. They were able to do that then. But now that we've reprioritized, we've analyzed everything, and we said, okay, hold on, there needs to be some order to this. All of this, everybody and their mama whose skin is dark speaking on our claim, speaking on slavery, that stuff is over with. That stuff is over with. So because of that, now we're making a lot of success. This is another reason why you're seeing a lot of people try to label FBA as MAGA or FBA as some divisive diaspora war thing. They're trying to label it as that for that reason, okay? Because they understand that foundational is the key word that breaks all of their agenda down. Because arguably, they can find a way to pretty much cosplay into anything else. They can find a way to pretty much crowbar and cosplay their way into damn near anything and everything else. But foundational means it's specifically about America and slavery. They can't cosplay their way into that. So they have an issue with that. They have an issue within the movement that comes out of, or the movement that you have foundational Black Americans in. Let me say it properly. All right. They have an issue with that. And they try to make it seem like we're hateful. Let me show this. Let me bring this up since we're on the subject. You guys know Tariq had recently took a visit to Senegal. He was in Senegal. I think he was in Senegal. I think he went to Turkey. He did his like world traveling thing, right? And you had a lot of tethers who had some big issue for whatever reason of him going to Senegal. I'll just show you this.
Right now. So come here. So my thing is this, right? So Tyreek and she done went into Senegal, huh? Exhibit A. So what do y'all have to say about y'all's FBA leader going over to Africa and doing this? What? I thought y'all weren't Africans. I thought y'all didn't have no African descents. I thought y'all didn't. What's up?
Okay. Look, Lord, have mercy. Lord, have mercy. First off, that's first you two, and I'm gonna say this respectfully. Y'all being mean in the chat room already. I love y'all. Y'all being mean in the chat room already, y'all. That's funny. Listen. That was a weird video. As respectful as I can be, that was weird. You're talking about Exhibit A, Exhibit B. No, you're not bringing any proof. He posted the pictures. You got the pictures from his page, from his account. He's the one posting them. You trying to make it seem like, evidence, gotcha with the picture you posted. Oh, no, you didn't. But why were they upset? Think about it. They were upset because they want FBA to be synonymous with this xenophobic cult of hate groups and we hate Africa. No, it's not like that. They're upset because Tariq went to Africa. He went to Senegal and he had a good time. And he said he had a good time and there was no problems. He had a good time. They had a good time. The people of Senegal who he was with, everybody had a good time. Everything was peaceful. No fights broke out and everything was kumbaya. And they have an issue with that. They have an issue because there is no problem. They don't really have nothing to harp on, but they're mad because that defeats that narrative that FBA hates Africa and FBA hates everything about Africa. No, you guys want us to say we are African. Hold on now. hating Africa and not being African is not the same thing. When foundational Black Americans say we're not African, we're saying we're American. We're foundational Black American. And you want us to say we're African because then that confuses who we are. You want us to revert back to that state of confusion of we not knowing who we are or where we came from. You want us to go back to being this nationless group of confused people who allow abuse and everybody to walk over them and to take claim to their ethnicity. You want us to go back to that. That's why you want to be like, y'all are African. You're African, man. You're African. You're African. You're African. There's this fuss and this arguing about it because they want us to go back. Not because there's actually any war really going on. Not because there's no battle or anything like that. Not because we're doing anything negative to them. Not because we hate Africa. That's the talking point that they use, but they don't even think that for real. They don't honestly think we hate Africa, or people who use the term FBA hates Africa. They don't know. They don't honestly think that, because we don't. Okay, there's over 40 million of us who have different opinions and different stances and different ideologies. Okay, you can't put a single opinion on FBA no matter what it is. All FBAs don't even support reparations because it's a lineage, and there's many different diverse opinions and feelings and thoughts and all of that stuff within the lineage. So you can't label the lineage pro or against anything. Okay, you can't do it. There's FBA Democrats, FBA Republicans, FBA who are for reparations, FBA who are against it. It's just a lineage. There's no ideological qualification to be in the lineage. Okay, the lineage is about your family. Okay, it's about your ancestors. Okay, it's literally about that. There's no qualification that anybody can put on you. But they want the narrative that FBA is about hating Africa and us distinguishing ourselves from Africa. No, it's not. We're just doing the same delineation everybody in the world has been doing. The same everybody in the world has been doing that. Everybody just doesn't seem to have an issue with. Nobody seems to have an issue with everybody in the world delineating. Is for whatever reason, it's just us. It's only xenophobic and only hateful and only divisive and only will start a gender war. Not a gender war, I keep saying that. Only will start a diaspora war when we do it. It's only when we do it. Let me show you this, okay? Let me show you this picture. Because they will go out and they will brag anytime they do anything productive. They will sit up there and brag. Okay, this is a rapper, I think a rapper producer. I think he produces and raps or something like that. Tyler, the Creator. You have Shabusi, and then you have Cynthia Erivo. Look at what the caption says. Same night, same stage, same route. All right, same night, same stage, same route. It is saying these 3 Grammy wins, 3 global stars, 1 Igbo story. Shabusi, Tyler, the Creator, Cynthia Erivo. Y'all. So when they do something good, delineating is not an issue. When they do something good, they can put their tribe up there and they would say, hey, tonight, they didn't say no Black History Month. They didn't say that. They said tonight is about Igbo. Oh, damn. Well, I'll be. Y'all will get up there and y'all will put on a thicker accent. We be like, damn, y'all don't even talk like that in average conversation. Y'all will get up there and y'all be like, I want to thank my family. I want to thank all my brothers and my sisters at home. Y'all will get up there and y'all will do all of that. Y'all will put on the accent. We be like, yo, you've never talked like that before. I want to cry because this country has been created by my people and this country has been created by immigrants and all of these things. Really? Y'all will come up there and everybody be like, yes, oh my goodness, yes it was, yes, thank you so very much. And we all like, okay, cool, fine. If this is the page everybody's gonna be on, then let's just do it then. Let's just delineate then. If everybody's gonna be on that type of time, everybody's gonna be on that type of page, let's do it then. Then when we do it, it's all like, yo, You guys just hate yourselves? Is that what it is? Y'all hate Africa? Is that what y'all want to be white? Is that you guys are paid by Donald Trump? That's what this whole thing is. You guys are shills who are agents and plants from Israel to create division among the people. That's what you guys are. That's what you guys have been doing. Okay, you're nothing but MAGA Republican Russian robots. That's what you guys are. Y'all praise them when they do it. I don't understand that. When they do it, they will get on stage, they will put on a thicker accent and be all like, my Latino community, shout out to them, and shout out to my abuela, and shout out to the, and they will roll their R's, and they will be all like, this is my amigos, and my home, and my this, and my that. And then we'd be all like, okay, well, you know what? Let's do something for the Black American community that's been ignored. What you mean? You know you from Africa, right? Oh, hold on. No. When the police pulls us over, we're all the same, right? No. Because when Shabusi, when Tyler, the Creator, when Cynthia Erivo, when y'all won an award, we ain't all the same then. So we all the same when y'all want us to be the same. But we not all the same when y'all don't. It don't work that way. It don't work that way, y'all. Okay, the narrative that they are coming out that we're lineage is absurd. That is an absurd thing to even talk about, an absurd thing to even bring up. I'm trying to pull this one clip up real quick. I don't know why the thing is not loading that well. Why is it not loading that well? Hold on, come on now. Okay, I got you. Hold on. Y'all give me a second as I'm pulling this clip up, and y'all do me a favor and hit that like button. It's taking a little bit of time. But what I'm trying to say is the narrative that FBA is this and FBA is that, FBA is this cult, FBA is MAGA, FBA is this, FBA is that. They're upset. Like, for instance, they're upset at Tariq because Tariq didn't do anything wrong. They wanted Tariq to go there and disrespect people, and he didn't. They wanted him to go there and start some type of drama or start some type of fight, and he didn't. And that defeats their narrative. And they need that narrative because they need us to go back to saying that we're all African. And anybody who tries to tell you that we're not all this ambiguous, vague, nationless African ethnicity that nobody knows of, that is pretty much lost and has no claim to anywhere in the world. If anybody's trying to claim otherwise, they're some type of CIA manipulator. Or they're working for the government to quote unquote create division. I finally got the video up. Let me show you the video. Hold on. Let me show y'all. Here we go. I guess I got to share the video. I guess that's a smart idea. Can't just find it, can I? I guess I got to share it, huh? I guess that's a smart thing to do, right? Let me do it. If you don't play, damn it, go ahead. Now you're going to embarrass me in front of company. Okay, hold on. Lord, y'all see what I got to go through. Y'all see what I got to go through. I'll pay all this money for internet.
Boy, I know you lying. Not you sitting up here after being paid off by the Republicans to sow all this division through your FBA movement, and now you want to go where? Not to Senegal, not to Dakar, not to the land of the Teranga, not to the motherland. After you done got all these black folks acting like they know how to speak Navajo. No, go to Grand Canyon. Go to Grand Canyon. Huh? Go to Mount Rushmore. You Native American, remember? Huh? You Aztec, you Mayan, you Inca, huh? Huh? No, you're not even old neck with the big noses and the braids in the hair. You Native American. So what you doing in Senegal? What you doing in the motherland after you done sold all of this division and helped to get Trump in office by having all of this discourse against comedy? Now you want to go to the motherland. Now you want to get free. Nah, Keep your position. Hold your position.
See?
Go down
And they
with the
don't
ship.
hold on. The whole Kamala, what does Kamala have to do with Senegal? Kamala don't got nothing to do with Senegal. Kamala don't got nothing to do with Africa. Okay? She literally has nothing to do with Africa, but they're mad. Why are they mad? Let's go, because it's a political year, okay? It's an election year. Why are they mad about what's going on with Kamala? They blame us. And when I say us, I mean FBA. They blame foundational Black Americans, and they blame everybody who's making any type of standing on lineage content. They blame us because what they wanted is to have Kamala follow in the same footsteps Obama led in. Okay. They wanted for her to follow in the whole, well, I mean, we got to ride for our Black brother. We got to ride for our Black sister. We got to ride for them. We got to help them get in there. And that's what let Obama get in there. Obama rode that wave. And here's the thing with Obama burned that bridge to never return again. Obama's second term completely burned that bridge, and nobody has been able to walk over that bridge since. That bridge has never been rebuilt, and we're not letting it happen. Now, unfortunately for Harris she attempted to rebuild and walk over that bridge, and we didn't let that happen. And that's where the whole delineating, and that's why that's important, because all of that sister girl, and come on now, you got to stick up for your sister. You got to stick up for her. We was all like, no, she's not Black. She's not Black. She ain't even really Jamaican. No. She's not a part of our lineage. I don't care what type of fake accent. Remember, she was doing that. She was talking about, I cook my collard greens in the bathtub. She remember that? Or she cleans her collard greens in the bathtub. Remember, she was on stage and she was putting on some fake accent. Y'all got to go out there and vote now. Y'all know our mamas don't want us to sit on the couch. She was doing that. Putting on this facade of our lineage. And this is what happens when they've become accustomed to us being confused. They're able to cosplay, but because of the fact that we've delineated and we're so in sync, our frequencies are so in sync, we're able to tell when people are from outside. We're able to tell, and because we're able to tell, all of that trickery and games that they've been able to play before, they're not able to play anymore. Okay? They're not able to play anymore. Let me shout out to the Cash App. Let me shout out to the Cash Apps from Derek and then Linus Blessed. I appreciate you so much. Thank you very much on this beautiful Black History Day. Thank y'all. Appreciate y'all. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. Also, let me get to this super chat real quick. We got a couple. Oh, damn. I didn't even see these super chats. Oh, wow. Okay. We got a couple of super chats. I didn't see them. Okay. Let's get to Dakotas Jenkins. He says FBA built this country and defended it in every war. We're the only, all caps, only group who can truly say this. That's very true. We're the only group who can. Okay. We're not immigrants. DNC/tethers, they want us erased. They do. And there's an agenda to the whole thing. As the sister was saying earlier in the clip we played before, there was a whole thing. It was an orchestrated thing. Okay. Do you know that they have times to pause and allow the applause to go on? They know when to make a statement and then pause and let the whole room clap, and how long the room is supposed to clap before they continue with the statement. All of that is orchestrated. None of that is organic. He knew his assignment going up there. He knew his assignment to go up there and talk about America was built by immigrants. Pause, let the whole room clap, and then when they settle down, finish that statement. That's orchestrated, and that comes from the top. That's supposed to be messaging. Okay, this is manipulation and brain control and programming. They want to program the society to view the creation of this country as something that's been done by the whole world and not by our lineage. It's very detrimental, and we can't allow it. All right, let's get to Kurt Coldban. He says the message and erase message, the messages and erase messages erase measures will not work. Delineations is a must. Salute, big bro. Salute to you, brother. I appreciate you very much. Thank you very much for your support. That's true. It's not going to work. It's not. FBA Justice says delineation has taken the easy money from the cosplayers. It has. Y'all been riding that wave and y'all been messing up what we got going on. I'm frozen. Somebody's saying I'm frozen. Can you hold on? Wait, what's going on? Hold on. Wait a second, y'all. Hold on. Wait 1 minute. Gosh. Hold on. Give me 1 second, y'all. Okay, am I cool? I don't know what that was about. I'm good, right? Okay. I think if I'm good, put the thumbs up emoji in the chat room. Let me know. Let me know I'm good. I don't know what that was about. I saw a couple of people saying that. I didn't know. Was I lagging beforehand? I'm not sure what's going on with that. Okay. I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know what that was. I mean, sometimes YouTube, StreamYard, sometimes these apps be glitching, but it is what it is, though. We're here. And what I was saying is this messes up their plan. What Shabusi did, and the fact that not only what he did, but the fact that he refuses to really redact his statement. He refuses to apologize and admit he was wrong. All he did in his quote unquote apology video was say that he wasn't inclusionary enough of the builders of this country, but he did not apologize for the lie of giving them the credit that they don't deserve. All right. He didn't do that. And there's this narrative that's going around, whether that's Obama, whether that's AOC, whether that's Zoran Mondani, whether that's Shabusi. There's a lot of people going around. This country was built by immigrants, whether that's Jasmine Crockett. It's a lot of people going around. This country was built by immigrants. This country was built by immigrants. This is programming. All of these people have the same masters, and they're all taught to say that. And that's not even to quote unquote uplift immigrants, because it doesn't do that. Okay. Immigrants they came here. You can't say I came here for opportunities and built the opportunities. No, you came here because there were already opportunities here for you. You didn't come here to build. Immigrants don't come here to build. They come here because the opportunities already exist. If they were interested in building, they would have stayed home. They wouldn't have come here to build. Clearly, they're not interested in building. Do you understand that? How are we even talking about that? How are we even making a conversation about that? Clearly, these people's interest is not of building. They don't care about that. Okay? They want something already built. They don't want to make the country. They want to come to a pre-existing country and then just work there. It doesn't make any sense to go across the country, not across the country, rather, I'm sorry, go to the other side of the world to build something when you had a place to build. You think these people are like, we've built this country up so great. I just need to build more things. So let me just travel the world and just build everywhere in the world. No, when you go home, they don't have buildings like we have here. I'm not trying to be derogatory. I'm not trying to be kick nobody when they're down, but let's tell the truth. They didn't come here to build. Building ain't on the agenda, y'all. Let's not lie about that. They ain't over here being all like, man, there's so much we can do here. No, they came here because there was already food. If they wanted to cook, they would have cooked at home. Okay. You don't go to a restaurant to cook. That's like going to a restaurant to cook, y'all. Honestly, Not a single one of us has ever went to a restaurant and went in the back and tied on an apron and said, hey, let me chop up this lettuce real quick. Let me chop up these onions and carrots and all that stuff. We don't go to a restaurant to cook. We go to a restaurant because there's already people cooking. We go to a restaurant so we don't have to cook. If we wanted to cook, we would be home in our kitchen with our own stove and our own groceries cooking. You go someplace, if you go to McDonald's, you go to whatever the case is, you go there because there's already food made. Or there's already somebody, if you go to a nicer restaurant, somebody else cooking the food. That's to say that immigrants built this country is literally as dumb as saying I came to your restaurant as a customer to cook my food. If somebody puts the plate in front of you and you know how they be having like ketchup and salt and stuff like that. Imagine somebody lays some pasta in front of you or soup or whatever the case is, and you pick up the salt and you say you cooked it. You look at this delicious soup I made. What? The delicious soup you made? What are you what? This is what they're saying, y'all. And it's not just we're correcting it because it's not true and it doesn't make sense, but we're correcting it because by you claiming that you made this soup, pasta, steak, whatever you're eating, it takes away from the people who actually did make the soup. All of the chefs that are working hard in the kitchen, cooking the actual food, it takes away from their credit and it gives it to you. And all you came up and did was put your butt in the seat. That's all you came and did. Grab some salt and you put some ketchup on your fries and you said you cooked it. No, you didn't. You didn't even make the ketchup. So we got to stop that. We have to stop that. These lies and these narratives that are there, they're not only there to uplift them and to make them seem more important than what they really are, but mainly it is to strip us and put us in this docile, confused state of us not knowing where we are and who we are. Because, and I said this at the very beginning, I'm going to land here and in here, because the way the system of white supremacy has been able to abuse us for so long is not through physical manipulation, but psychological manipulation. And in order to do that, they need to control how we see ourselves, which is why media is so important and our image is so important and our representation is so important, because that determines not only how society sees us, but more how we see ourselves, how our children sees their people, how they see their family, how they see other Black people. It controls how we see ourselves. So if we see ourselves as people who have no land, if we see ourselves as people who have no culture, no ethnicity, we are damn near barely seeing ourselves as human. That's the detrimental part about that. And if you barely see yourself as a human being, you don't see yourself as having any culture, you don't see yourself as having any relevance, how are you going to ask me for reparations? You're not even going to think about reparations because you're not even going to think you deserve reparations if you can barely see yourself as a person. White supremacy wants not to fight. They will fight if they have to, but they don't want us to fight. That's the thing. The thing is not to consistently put pressure on an oppressed group of people. What they want is that the oppressed group of people are complicit with the oppression. They want us to be complicit. They want us to all be in one accordance, okay, and acquiesce to their supremacy. And if they can manipulate us into saying that, hey, technically, we're not doing nothing wrong. Y'all really are not people like that for real. Then we will acquiesce to them. And they will win the fight without even having to fight. And they're putting all of this pressure because now that we're not acquiescing, they're having to fight and they're losing the fight. They're losing the narrative. They're losing the abilities that they've had to manipulate people. More people are starting to become aware of it. More people are seeing through the gaslighting. More people are seeing through the manipulation and the brainwashing. And it's only growing at a faster rate. It's only getting worse for them. Let me get to the soul Stoic. He says, a free mind cannot be colonized. True, very true. A colonized mind will oppress itself. Our ancestors have been here for centuries. We built this nation. Logic. We did. Okay. And this is why they have such an issue. Okay. They try, you hate Africa. No, we don't. And you're trying to do that because you want us to be labeled as this negative thing. You want to put a jacket on us to slow down the momentum of the cultural renaissance that we're having right now. Foundational Black Americans are going through a cultural renaissance right now, and they're trying desperately to slow that down by any means. So they're trying to throw everything and put every type of negative jacket on us. Y'all xenophobic. Y'all hate Africa. Y'all hate everybody. You're MAGA. You're a white supremacist. You just don't hate yourself or love yourself. They're trying to put every single jacket they can, and it's not sticking because we're just a lineage. Foundational Black Americans is just lineage. Are there some foundational Black Americans who are MAGA? Yeah. Are there some who are Democrat? Yeah. Are there some who are neither? Yeah. You can't put a jacket on the whole lineage of people. You can't do it. No, y'all can talk about Tariq, but whatever jacket you guys are putting on, which you really have never successfully been able to do, but whatever jacket you guys try to put on Tariq, y'all don't, that's not a proxy for the whole lineage because there's no leader. Okay? Whatever y'all want to say about me, y'all can't say I'm a FBA, but y'all don't, whatever I do, y'all can't say about the next one. Whatever jacket y'all put on me, y'all can't say about the next one. Okay? Y'all being paid by MAGA. All of us, all 40 plus million of us are being paid by MAGA. All of us. You can't put that jacket on us. And this is what they hate. They hate this. Okay? Which is why they keep putting out this propaganda like Shabusi, like Mandani, like Obama, like Jasmine, AOC, all of them. Which is why they keep doing it. But it's important that we shut that down. Okay. Let me get you Real Cade Beauty. She says the Epstein files state that 21% of the population, that we are 21% of the population, 73 million strong. You know, I was looking, thank you for that. I was looking at, I digress for a little bit, but I was kind of looking at, it's a lot. Have y'all seen the Epstein files? Have y'all seen that? I was trying to review it. I don't want to rush to make any content about it before I do a thoroughly good review. You know what I'm saying? Have y'all seen that stuff? Is crazy, man. It's a lot of crazy stuff in them files, man. And it's so much. I'm like, I don't even know because they keep dropping more and they're dropping millions at this time. I was like, I don't know if at this time I'm able to, but they got some crazy stuff going on, man. And you know, and you got to think these people come from their ancestors. These people are not removed from their ancestors, man. If y'all know about some of the sick stuff that they were doing in them Epstein files, these people are just like their ancestors. All of the sick stuff they were doing was stuff that they were doing in slavery. Okay, it's like this demonic spirit just gets passed down. And we can see it there. I mean, it's some sick stuff. This is why we got to empower our lineage, because our lineage is pure of heart. It is pure of all of this Epstein stuff that they got going on. Okay. My brother HQ, my brother Hurricane, he says, we love ourselves too much to hate on Africans. Hey, I like that. We do. We love ourselves way too much. We love ourselves too much. We do. I'm gonna be honest with the Epstein stuff. Don't it's some conspiracy and stuff like that. But if y'all got a light stomach, don't do that. But I want it to be known that our lineage needs to be empowered. Look at who's in power now. Look at all of these people who are in power now. These people are running the world into the ground. We need to be empowered to dismantle the system of white supremacy, to get these evil, demonic people out of power. That's why this mission, what we're doing, is so important, so vital. I'm 6 off, but I digress because this is not about that. I'm not even going to go too deep into that, but it's because it's not about that. All right. It's not about that. It's not about that. But this is about Shabusi and Shabusi's pathetic, sorry apology that nobody forgives. And to be very honest with you, I'm going to be very, very honest with you. I'm glad he did it. And I'm going to tell you why. Because every time they do it and you see this rise of pushback, it just shows you how powerful our cultural renaissance is. How powerful the lineage is, and how everybody is in alignment. Everybody is in sync. Everybody's frequencies have been tuned. We're all fine-tuned to the same frequency. I just love the verification of that. I love that. Okay, I hate he said it, but I love the response to it. I love it. Okay, and it just makes us, every time he does it, it makes us double down. Okay. It just makes us double down in knowing what we're doing is the correct thing to do. So it's a good thing, in my opinion, or at least the response is okay. He says, so it said the age of consent in Delaware was 7 in 1871 into the 1900s. Google, it says, pedo, I'm going to be careful. Pedo is in their culture, not ours. Yeah, that's true. Boy, that's some crazy stuff. 7 years old. Boy, these people are sick. But that's why we need to be empowered, y'all. Okay? Because they are going to run this world into the ground. But we're not going to let it. I'm saying let's look at this as glass half full. Okay? We're not going to let it. We're clearly dismantling what they got going on now. And we just getting started. We clearly got them in the fuss now. So we good. We good. We doing what we supposed to be doing. But speaking of doing what we supposed to be doing, I guess this will conclude where we are. So can y'all please hit that thumbs up button for me? Thank you. Please and thank you. Can y'all hit that like button? And can y'all hit that notification button? Leave a comment for Black History Month. Let me know what y'all thinking. Let me know what y'all think about Shabusi's apology. Do y'all accept his apology? Do y'all think it's sincere? Let me know what you guys think about Shabusi's apology in the comment section below. All right. That will conclude tonight's live stream, family. Thank y'all so very much. As always, Black first to every single last one of y'all. I will see y'all later. I will see you all soon. Y'all stay blessed.